Hey guys, this is PK with my review of the Resident Evil 4 remake. I just finished it yesterday. I spent about 20 hours playing the game, and yeah, I'm just gonna compare it to the original RE4, which came out 2005, which is about 18 years ago. So I went in with the bar set really low because I was thoroughly disappointed with the RE2 remake. So that was when I knew, you know what, you can't trust the critics. They're more often than not they're wrong. And so I went with the bar set low, and unfortunately, it wasn't even able to meet my relatively low expectations. So again, you can't help but compare it with the original. The original did a lot of things better than this game. So the biggest issue with this game, the remake, is the aiming. There's a lot of dead zone issues. Yeah, there's like a delay. There's like a 1 second delay in between shots. That could literally be the difference between life and death. The crosshair is just not as good as the precision laser pointer that was available with the original game. I know some of you are thinking, well, you can unlock the laser pointer in the remake. Yeah, that's true, but that's not until like the latter half of the game. There are 16 chapters, and in order to unlock it, you need to get, I think, 9 spinels, which were easy to come by in the original game. In this game, they're hard to come by. So you need to complete a shit ton of side quests to get the unlockable attachment. And even then, it's only available for like 3 of the 15 or 16 weapons in the game. So you can't use it with all the weapons. So it's absolutely ridiculous. You should have had the option to switch between the two. But they didn't. The laser, you just can't compare after from the laser pointer to the crosshairs. It's like, there's no going back. It's ridiculous. So the aiming is off in the game. It's wonky. It's janky. And this is made worse by the fact that the enemies in this game are hard as F. And this is understandable because, the Series X, which is the platform I used to finish the game, it's like, what, 50 to 100 times more powerful than the GameCube? So, way more RAM, which means more advanced AI. You can have more enemies on the screen at once, more animations, and so on and so forth. But yeah, in this game, when the aiming is so bad, it's like just adding more fuel to the fire, basically. The enemies, like I said, they're bullet sponges in this version. You can't pull off decapitations as easy as you could in the first. Like in the original, you could literally cause decapitations via your roundhouse kick. This game, the melee attacks have been gimped. They've been nerfed. So basically, they're not as effective, and they just seem weak by comparison. So you can't decapitate enemies via your roundhouse kick. You can't decapitate enemies via the suplex. It's extremely hard to decapitate enemies with your weapons. I don't recall a single decapitation with the rifle. The rifle is a lot weaker in this version. The shotgun is a lot weaker in this version, especially the base shotgun. You eventually get the striker, which is a pretty good weapon, but that's not till the latter half of the game. Your standard pistol is weak. I wasn't able to pull off a decapitation with it until chapter 13. And that was only after I fully upgraded the weapon, like literally fully upgraded it, including the exclusive, which makes it 500 times more likely, 5 times more likely basically, to pull off a critical hit, like a headshot. So that wasn't until chapter 13. So again, the weapons are weak compared to the original. They don't have the same impact. They don't have the same oomph in terms of the sound effects, but also in terms of their effectiveness. And this is a huge no-no. You can't have this. One of the most fun things about the original were how effective the weapons were, how devastatingly brutal they were. Same with the melee attacks. They're just crap in this game. That's another issue with the game. I feel like in the original you felt like this total badass. Like you could tell that Leon went through a lot of training, special military, spec ops training. And you just felt like a total badass. In this game, you feel like almost like a helpless guy. A helpless guy that has just gotten some military grade training and just surviving to the skin of his teeth. A sense of helplessness, which would work if this was a traditional survival horror game, like let's say Evil Within, or even the original RE2, or the original Resident Evil game, which came in '96. But this is supposed to be an action horror game, not a survival horror game. That's what made RE4 so much fun, in my opinion. This game, there's Ashley ends up saving his life, and another issue out of the game is how PC it is compared to the original. So they removed the ballistics line, they removed the overtime line. You can't look up Ashley's skirt. The game is far more PC, and again, one of the fun things about the original was how campy it was. It played like a B-grade movie, and that was fun. It was schlocky, it was cheesy, total cheese fest, but it was a fun cheese fest. It's one of those so bad it's good type of plots. This game, they tried to have their cake and eat it too. They tried to make it serious in certain areas, but then tried to also have the campy one-liners, and just fall flat. There's a mix of the two themes. They don't blend. It's like oil and water. You can't have both. You can't have it both ways. So the dialogue is cringy. The characters aren't as interesting. Ada's voice actress is terrible. She's like an autopilot, just going through the motions. She's just really canning it in. And the original Ada voice actor, or actress, I don't know what her name is, but she did a way better job. Voice acting in this game is worse than the original. The dialogue is worse than the original. The plot is worse than the original. Like I said, it's totally PC, and I'm a base guy. I hate woke nonsense. They took the woke route, and it shows. So the plot, the dialogue, the voice acting are worse than the original. And again, the dialogue, plot, music, and voice acting in the original weren't that great. What made the original RE4 amazing game was its core gameplay mechanics. Everything around it was just a bonus, the cherry on top. This game, the core gameplay sucks, and everything else about the game also sucks, more or less. Like I said, another thing that really sucked about the remake is that you have to spend hundreds of thousands of pesetas on upgrading your freaking combat knife. The thing breaks constantly. The original, your combat knife didn't require any upgrades. It was indestructible. So I don't know what the hell they were thinking. Instead of spending all that money on upgrading, your like, I don't know, upgrading your main weapons, you got to spend the money on repairing your freaking knife, which in my case broke, I think, like 15 or 16 times. What the hell are they smoking? Why did they do this? The parrying mechanics hit and miss. It's personally, I think most gamers rather just have an indestructible knife and focus on, like, souping up their weapons, like the shotguns and all that. So you have to worry about maintenance for a freaking knife, which was an issue in the original. Body armor, it tears apart at the seams all the time. You get hit a couple of times, it's done. You got to repair it. Spend 10,000 pesetas repairing it every time. What the hell were they thinking in the original? The body armor reduces 30% of melee damage, I believe. Indestructible. Here again, you got to spend $50, $60, $70,000 repairing the bloody thing. So you're literally spending hundreds of thousands of dollars just repairing basic equipment. What the hell was Capcom thinking? Another thing that sucks about this game, well, so many things suck about this game. There's a lot of content's been cut. One of the bosses, I forgot the name of the boss. It's near the end of the game, past the castle, the final, I guess, third act of the game. A really grotesque, obese, pale-skinned monster, PL03, or I don't know what the hell the name of the thing was. Anyways, it's removed from this game. That boss battle. There's a two-part sequence in the original, right? You got the original where you have to shoot out the green lights to make progress and to survive the time limit. Really intense, really awesome. And then you think you're done, and then he comes out like this scorpion type creature, anthropomorphic creature with like these pincers. You gotta beat him a second time. Not in the game. A lot of cut content. Another enemy that was cut from the game is the armored freak with the club, where his only weak spot is his head. Don't remember the name from the original. Completely cut from this version of the game. So they cut out enemies. They cut out bosses. They cut out the awesome, badass laser sequence from the original. It's not in the game at all. It's in the remake. Again, it's been like 3 or 4 years since I played the original, so I'm going on memory. And what I'm planning to do is play the original, maybe do maybe do a review of that, because I'm sure there's a bunch of other content that's been cut as well. What else is wrong with this game? The puzzles. Now the original had 2 puzzles that were really frustrating in my first playthrough. There's the one with the red, the green, and was it red, blue, and green spheres. You gotta adjust them in a certain way, and then amalgamate the 3 to create the Las Plagas, Los Iluminados insignia to make progress to unlock the gate. That was a frustrating puzzle in my first playthrough, and there's also the puzzle when you play as Ashley, and it's like a jigsaw puzzle or whatever, and that took me about 10 minutes to solve on my first playthrough. In this game, you got about 7 or 8 puzzles that were just BS, just trial and error. So there are far more tedious puzzles in the second, like literally 4 times as many tedious puzzles. All the puzzles, virtually all the puzzles are tedious, and that's not fun for me. Tedious puzzles, trial and error, literally spending hours trying to figure out what the hell to do, and just by chance figuring it out. That's not fun. There's no cerebral thought process involved in many of the puzzles. It's just like hit and miss BS. So the puzzles in the game bogged down, hampered the experience. I don't know, man. Like I said, the enemies are way tougher. The game is far more difficult. Personally, and I think most gamers would agree, maybe they're afraid to admit this because they don't want to come off as a noob. and let's be real, life sucks for most people, and they play video games as a form of escapism. They want to forget about the problems for a couple of hours and have fun. I feel like a total badass. The original RE4 made me feel like a badass because the gameplay was it had adaptive difficulty, which I don't believe this game has. The game just continued to ratchet up the difficulty. It never got any easier. The first RE4 had adaptive difficulty, which was awesome. So if you're kicking ass and taking names, suddenly enemies would be tougher. There'd be more enemies that would appear. It'd be tougher to take down. And then if you're getting your ass kicked, you know, again, the difficulty would be toned down. This game doesn't have that. I don't believe there is an adaptive difficulty. The game is tough from start to finish. The enemies are far tougher. I beat the original on professional difficulty, and I died 35 times. I played this version on the standard difficulty, and it even says, the caption, this difficulty setting is designed or meant for gamers who have not experienced the original RE4. Professional difficulty, I guess, no, I guess, well, actually, you have to unlock the professional difficulty. The hardcore mode, which is available from the beginning, is meant for hardcore gamers that have beaten the RE4. Let me tell you one thing. The standard difficulty in this version is harder than the professional difficulty on the original RE4, which is ridiculous. I died 44 freaking times. I died 9 times more in this mode, and I've beaten the original 12 times. So I'm an RE4 vet. And there are so many times in the remake when I want to toss the controller at the screen, when I thought I was rage quitting. And the only reason, I shit you not, only reason I finished this friggin' game is because I spent over $100 on it. Now, I've been playing video games for over 25 years. I have purchased, literally, thousands of games. I have never in my life paid full retail price for any game in my life other than this game. Why did I spend $100+ on this game? It's because I don't have much time to live. And I probably won't live long enough for the game to drop in price, because it's probably going to take a year. So that was the biggest reason why I spent $100. But if I go back in time, I would not have spent any money on this game. But that was the reason why I forced myself to finish it. It is such a horrible game in so many areas. I don't like difficult games. My life is horrible enough as it is. Every day of my life is a survival horror game, basically. Except there are no respawns. So that's the reason I bought this game. I was hoping to have a fun time to relive my classic memories before I die. I couldn't even get that out of this game. I'm so infuriated. It's been the story of my life. It's been the worst year of my life. And then this piece of crap comes along. I piss away over $100. I'm not making a lot of money. The times have been tough. And this is on the digital version as well. So it's not like I can resell it and get most of my money back either. Which really sucks. It's $100, $103 pissed away in the deluxe edition. Another thing that sucks about this fucking remake. A lot of modes are missing. Completely and utterly unacceptable. Fuck you, Crapcom. Fuck you up the ass. You guys are a fucking joke. You've been a joke ever since RE5 came out. Okay, you know what? 5 was decent. Other 6 came out. 6 was an abomination. This game isn't quite as bad as 6, but it's there. It's in the running for the shittiest main canon-based RE game. Okay? Mercenaries mode missing. Yes, I'm aware it will be coming out on April 7th. Why wasn't it available from day one? Why do we have to wait 2 weeks? Oh, free DLC. Thanks for the favor, Capcom. Where the hell is Simonada? Where the hell is Separate Ways? Those modes were available on the original Resident Evil 4. Where are they in this game? You had 18 years to make this game, basically. Why are these modes missing? You know what Capcom's gonna do? 6 months from now, they're gonna release a deluxe, or not deluxe, but a gold edition, and they're gonna charge you extra $20 for it. That's what's gonna happen. Modes that were available for free will be paid DLC in the future. I don't know, man. Never trust the critics. This game has a 93 or 92 on Metacritic, and I thought it was just me. Take the user score. The Xbox version has a 5.5 last time I checked, last night. 5.5. And then some people are like, the fanboys. Oh, the people are review bombing the game. They don't really know. They're just being little dicks. They don't have a life. Blah, 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 blah. No. I read the comments. They're legitimate. This game has a lot of problems. Like, if you actually take the time to read the critiques, you'll be like, huh. You know what? These people make a good points. This game is, at best, a 6. Okay? It's mediocre at best. And I had the deluxe edition, which had, like, a bunch of like, cool additions, like costumes and the Sentinel-9, and there's a shotgun that's available. It's an actual piece of crap. I don't know why it was involved. But yeah, the Sentinel-9 was my main weapon, and it's available as exclusive for the the deluxe edition. You can also another thing that sucks about this game, the soundtrack is shit. When was the last time you had a Resident Evil game that had an amazing soundtrack? I believe it was RE0 or the remake, the first, whichever came first. I believe it came out 6 months apart. I don't remember which one came out first. I think it was 0 came out first, and RE remake came out 6 months later, I believe. Yeah, so the RE1 remake, which came out in 2002, was the last Resident Evil game to have phenomenal music, right? The original Resident Evil on '96, mediocre. Resident Evil 2, best video game soundtrack of all time. I don't know if you can hear it, it's playing in the background. Best video game soundtrack of all time. The GOAT, bar none, uncontested. RE2. RE3, phenomenal soundtrack. Not as good as the second, but still a really, really good soundtrack. Code Veronica, second best soundtrack, arguably, in the entire... Yeah, it is the second best soundtrack in the series. Absolutely incredible. Came out in 2000 on the Dreamcast. Resident Evil 0, underrated game. Great soundtrack. RE1 remake, phenomenal soundtrack. The music decline started with RE4. Soundtrack wasn't the greatest. This soundtrack is even worse. The default soundtrack is even worse. The RE4 had a couple of good pieces of music. There was the main village theme when all the enemies are coming, the intense piece of music that plays. Pretty damn good. The Infiltrator theme, we're exploring the island or what have you. Really, really good. Probably the best theme in the game. The Krauser's boss theme, really good. The final boss theme against Lord Sadler, really good. So there's at least 4 pieces of music that were good. This doesn't have a single standout piece of music. This run-of-the-mill gets the job done. No standouts at all. Shitty soundtrack. Graphics. The original RE4 pushed the GameCube to the limit. This game does not push the Series X to the limit. There are only 2 games I've played on the Series X. So we're like, yeah, you know what? These are next-gen games. Those 2 games are Plague Requiem, Game Pass game. If you have Game Pass, I recommend you check it out. It's a very hard game. I never completed it. It's too hard for me. But at least the graphics are really good. The story is really, really macabre. And just really, it's really, they did a really good job with the game. That's on me. I'm just not good enough to complete that game. Graphics, so phenomenal. Second game, Shadow Warrior 3 Definitive Edition. That was upgraded on the Series X. That opening level was phenomenal. Stunning visuals and effects. This game does not push the Series X to the limit. There are muted colors, saturated colors, weird lighting anomalies, some screen tearing, weird black, I don't know, like black screens and pop-ups, rough textures, low-res textures, some pop-in, noticeable pop-in, hit detection issues. Like, yeah, you can tell this is a cross-platform game. Okay, it's rough around the edges. Then there are other parts of the game that look phenomenal. Like when you're in the caves and stuff, like the crystals and stuff really pop. So there are parts of the game that look amazing, parts of the game that look really shitty. It's a mixed bag. The original RE4 on the GameCube, I thought, personally, I didn't like the polygonal, I guess, engine that they used. It was like I believe it was built from the ground up for RE4. The village looked bad even back then. The game started to look really good when you got to the castle area. That's when the game was like, yeah, okay, this is a GameCube. This is what the GameCube is really capable of. Personally, I thought the remake of the original is the best looking GameCube game of all time. The pre-rendered backgrounds, my god, that game looked photorealistic in certain areas, even back then in 2002. That showcased what the GameCube was capable of, and how amazing the artists at Capcom were, man. I don't know. Capcom's just lost the magic, man. They've lost the plot. But you know what the thing is? I know I'm in the minority. This game is the fastest selling Resident Evil game of all time. It already sold 3 million copies in, what, 2 days, 3 days? It's probably going to end up being the best selling RE game of all time, possibly the best selling Capcom game of all time. A title that's currently held by Monster Hunter. So yeah, as long as, you know, like I said, the critics love it, sells like hotcakes, they're going to keep doing this. This is frustrating, man. The RE2 remake was such a disappointment, and this game's right up there. Is that all? Oh yeah, there's also a crafting system in this game, which is you would think is a good thing, but I mean, now in retrospect, I'm realizing it's not a good thing because all the resources you need to craft ammo and rations take up a lot of space in your inventory in your attaché case. So yeah, they take up a lot of space. That was an issue in the original. Ammo is really scarce in the remake compared to the original. You'll run out of good stuff really quickly. Shotgun rounds are precious. They're like diamonds in this game, which is really, really fucking bullshit. So you run out of ammo really easily, which is, again, if this was a classic survival horror game, it would be understandable to an extent. But this is not. Even I don't know, man. Was ammo really ever scarce in the Resident Evil franchise? I don't know if some people have made this grievance, had this grievance against like the original classic trilogy, but I'm thinking to myself, I never was an issue for me. Like, yeah, I always had enough ammo to take out every single enemy in the game, and like, yeah, like I never ran away from a fight, other than the opening sequence of like let's say Resident Evil 2, when you're outdoors in Raccoon City, and it's just smarter to like just evade the enemies. By that point, I'd gotten used to the fixed camera angles and tank controls. That wasn't really an issue. I never ran out of ammo. Huh. So I guess this is the issue with this game. I don't know. Maybe 7 and 8. Yeah, I guess yeah, 7 and 8. Yeah, they had some issues with ammo. Yeah. Okay. So this is more or less more of the same. Yeah. So ammo is really scarce. The enemies are way tougher. The game is far more difficult. And you know what's funny? People are saying it's a masterpiece. I looked at last night. See how many people completed the game on standard difficulty or higher. It's less than 13%. So if this was a masterpiece, as like all the critics claim it to be, then why have 87% of gamers not beaten the game? Explain that to me. Clearly, vast majority of gamers bought into the hype and didn't like the game, or just got frustrated with it and rage quit. So again, I'm not alone. 87% of gamers have not completed the game. On Xbox anyway. I don't know with the PS5 version. So far. It's been out for a while. The game is way too long for its own good. It drags on. Tedious puzzles. Just super frustrating boss fights. Missing bosses. Missing levels, areas, enemies. Weapons aren't as powerful. Sound effects off. The graphics are hit and miss. The only thing that I could think of, there are two things that this game that were added to the game that are better than the original. Stealth mechanics. You could duck. You couldn't duck in the original. You could duck and pull off stealth kills, which you couldn't do in the original. Really, really satisfying when you manage to pull them off. Another thing is you're able to switch weapons on the fly. You could like, there's like these, yeah. You could just like, hit the D-pad and just switch between like a bunch of weapons, which is really cool. And it doesn't take you out of the, the game. The original, you'd have to go into your attaché case. Although I'll be honest with you, there were times in the game where things got really like scary, and really like intense, and I panicked, and I had to go into my attaché case to just take a breather, just pause and be like, okay, what's my next move? What am I gonna do? How am I gonna survive this? I got 8 enemies coming at me, heavily armed to the teeth. So then I would pause and go into my attaché case and decide which weapon to switch to, because you're panicking and there's all these slots, there's like up to 12 slots. So you accidentally switch to the wrong weapon and stuff. So I guess that could be an issue because the enemies are so tough. But generally speaking, yeah, being able to switch weapons is cool. I like the striker. Ashley is not as helpless as in the original. Well, like I said, she's the modern woman. I guess, I don't know. She's not a damsel in distress. Leon, like I said, he requires her. Save his ass. Ada ends up saving his ass. They remove the sequence where Leon and Ada fight. I guess for PC's sake, because he ends up stabbing her. I guess that was too misogynistic or what have you. Yeah, I don't know. Big disappointment. Cash grab. Any other points I want to make? Well, I guess Luis's death was more impactful in this version. I felt more bad for him in this version. And yeah, I will admit the way they handled his death was really well done. They did a good job there. So like I said, this game isn't terrible, but you can't help but compare it to the original, which ran on the freaking GameCube 18 years ago. That game was revolutionary for its time, and there's nothing revolutionary about this game. For everything it does right, there's 3 things it does wrong. So it's just really sad. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And they went a little crazy with this game, and there's a big disappointment. I uninstalled it as soon as I was done. I was so frustrated. I was relieved that I was done. Yeah, if I were you, wait for a price drop, or just wait for the gold edition in 6 months from now. In the meanwhile, just play, I don't know, play Village. It's a way better game. Play 7, way better game. I really wish they'd bring back the original trilogy, which is not available on current gen consoles or legacy consoles for that matter. The last console you can get the original trilogy on is the PS3. So, you know, Capcom is known for milking their franchises, so I'm surprised that these 3 games aren't available. And they have, what, a dozen versions of Street Fighter 4? But they don't have the original trilogy? I mean, the only way to get it now is by emulation, or by the PS3. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Huge disappointment. Like I said, I'm not allowed to have good things. I'm currently playing through RE6 again, which ironically enough is a vastly superior game on the Xbox Series X compared to the PS3, which is where I originally played it. Shooting mechanics are way tighter. Just pacing is better. Quick resume is awesome. The graphics are vastly superior compared to the original. Not a good game by any means, but like I said, the original I would give a 4. There's probably give RE6 maybe 6.5 in the Xbox Series X version. It's actually slightly better score than this game, which is kind of sad. Anyways, that's my review, guys. Let me know what you think. If you played the game, do you like it? Do you not like it? Alright, peace.
Leave it to me, Leon.